Okay. Well, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are listening to this. I'm excited to have Nadine Elharjj on the podcast today at Authentic Conversations. And I'm just delighted to be able to share her story with her. She's a young woman who has been through it. Early 20s, couple marriages, a psychopath guy, all to the journey of finding self-love. And as we get through this conversation, we'll see that through it all, her heart has been the number one thing to carry her forward in love and joy. And it's a delight for me to share her with you today. Anyways, welcome Nadine to Authentic Conversations. Oh, and I'm Adele from Transition Clarity.
Hi, Adele. Thank you for welcoming me. It's just such a pleasure to be here on your podcast and a pleasure to share my story with others, to hear and to learn and to explore.
Okay, so as I opened up, we talked about, you're young, right? So you're mid-20s, you've had more life in your short years. And if you want to just kind of take us back to first of all, what made you decide to get married in the first place?
Yeah, so I was actually born into a religious culture as a Muslim and a Lebanese, come from that culture tradition, and just a lot of old ways, a lot of expectations, a lot of expectations, mostly on the women as well, is what I felt during my childhood and growing up. The reason I got married so young at 18 was because that was my way to freedom. I thought if I were to leave my parents' house, then get married, I'd be able to go out and have fun and not hear the word no.
Okay, so not to interrupt, but so you were thinking that leaving your parents' rule, your husband would give you the freedom so you could be expressive to who you were.
Right.
But wasn't he from the same culture?
He was.
And wouldn't he have the same upbringing that you don't get freedom?
He did, yes.
And when we're talking about this, I mean, yes, Nadine came from this culture, but this happens in all cultures, in all, right? It's
100%.
And it's not like you were doing it because you're a rebellious teenager and you just want independence. And you're saying okay, well, I'll leave and I'll be the woman of the house, and I'll have the freedom to be in my own home. Yes. And this isn't what happened.
No. So really what I was seeking for was emotional needs. There were emotional needs that were not satisfied in my childhood, where I did not feel loved. I didn't feel heard or seen. I felt like I did not matter, no matter what I was feeling, no matter what I wanted, no matter what I expressed. I was just put to the side because my feelings or emotions were not valid enough for the attention that I needed as a child.
And so, again, right? No fault to anybody.
Ever. Nobody.
Yeah, right?
No one's to blame.
Yeah, right? So I just want to make that really clear because
very clear.
We're all on our journey. And we're here born into these families to learn what we actually need. Because if they gave us anything, we wouldn't be on the journey.
100%. And that's the beauty of it all. When you are in your journey, you have no idea why all these things are happening to you.
Mm-hmm.
You just feel like everyone's against you, you're being attacked from all angles, you see nothing clearly.
And yet we are always creating everything for ourselves to learn. Everything happens for us to learn. Carry on.
Yes, and that's something that we have not connected yet while we're so young.
Mm-hmm.
And also when we're not aware of why we're here,
Mm-hmm.
right? No one's told us why we're here. What is your purpose here? Why am I Nadine? Why am I in this body? Why am I in this culture? Why did I go through these toxic patterns?
Mm-hmm.
But all to get to the point of I'm here to learn. I'm
Mm-hmm.
here to learn. And as I came in as a young girl growing up, I was pure love. I expressed love. I trusted everyone. I loved everyone until I kept getting slammed down.
Mm-hmm.
I kept getting heartbreaks. I kept getting heartbreaks from even my friends and my parents and family and society, a stranger, because of expectations I had from them in ways that they should treat me.
Well, and it's also like the old, like the adages, you will receive what you're vibrating out.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So
Right.
in your heart, you're saying, but I'm loved. But what's vibrating out is hurt me.
Mm-hmm.
It's like in the playground when someone puts a sticker on your, like, kick me,
Right.
and then the kid's wondering why everyone's kicking them. Well, because that's
100.
the vibration that we're
Yeah.
sending out.
Right. Right. And so that's exactly what had happened to me. I was I tried very hard to be liked. I
Mm-hmm.
wanted others to like me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would go the extra mile and sell myself short so that I could feel this validation and acceptance from others. And this is the reason why I grew up mostly with no friends, because I always felt like I was just a tool that anyone could use and take advantage of,
Mm-hmm.
until I learned that this is what I was giving out. This is what I was causing for myself, because at that time I had no respect for myself. I did not know how to love or respect myself and to give myself the things that I've been seeking from others.
Right. And so just let's, like, I know this is where you are now, but like, so you leave that marriage and you go into a new
Yes.
marriage
Yes.
and it
So,
doesn't get better.
yeah. So I leave that marriage. I go into another marriage, into the same culture, the same family, the same rules, the same society, really the community, and the problems are just getting worse. Now what kicks in is severe anxiety and depression,
Mm-hmm.
where I need to take a prescription, Ativan, Zoloft,
Mm-hmm.
to keep me calm. And so from a very young age, I relied on those prescriptions to keep me somewhat normal, you know,
Right.
and and really it was just making me worse. And
Well, and not to go deep into this, people can do their own research. They're not supposed to make you better,
no,
right? Like,
they're all temporary.
yeah,
In my opinion, it's temporary, but
yeah,
the real fix is you.
yeah, yeah. So now you say, okay, I'm leaving this marriage, and you end up with cycles.
So now, after 4 miscarriages,
Oh, right.
a very a very toxic relationship. However, the man I was married to was amazing. His heart is gold. But I understand now that we were both learning and we didn't know. So I left that marriage and back to my parents' house. Back to my parents' house.
Let's just look at the miscarriages for a second.
Yes.
And you don't have to answer anything that you don't feel. So as tragic as it is to miscarry that many times, would you have been comfortable, as you look back at it now, having any one of those babies in that relationship?
No. Everything is perfect the way it went. Exactly what I needed. I needed to let go of the expectation of having a child. The society puts out this little movie picture of what your life must look like, which is getting married, having kids. You are a woman. You are here to serve your husband. You're here to keep the house cleaned and cook some dinner and take care of the kids while your husband is going out making the money so he can bring, because he's the main breadwinner, right? And so the reliance is still on men.
Well, in some forms, but that's being broken.
In the financial form, the survival supporting way, yes, but that is definitely being broken.
Well, and you think about it, like from the turn of the century. I mean, many women have been single mothers and have raised these children. So we're not trying to put it all in one basket, that this is how it was, but it was what you were raised in, and this is how you were raised, and which is fine.
Everything that I am expressing, everything that I am sharing, this is all from me. This is from my conditioning. This is speaking generally of my story, of just me, nobody else, nothing. Because there are other Lebanese Muslim women that have a completely different life. They didn't get married or have kids or whatnot. We're all on different journeys, but we are all trying to reach the same destination.
Right. And so as you're, move forward into this, trying to escape, trying to find you end up in another painful relationship.
Yes. So I'm trying to find me, but at this time, my father had been diagnosed with tongue cancer, and a month after moving back in with him, he asked me if I would be able to go and get a job and help him with the house mortgage. And I had no idea that we were financially really low. And so I put my big hat on and I went out and started looking for a job because I need to help support my family. And in this time, I was looking and looking and looking. And unfortunately, I did not have much luck. However, this man ended up approaching me at the River Valley when I was working out, running up the stairs. And he approaches me with this little opening saying, "You look familiar." And I had not seen this man ever in my life. This white, older man, just acting like he knows me. Anywho, I ignored it, but he insisted on having conversation with me and asked me, "What do you do?" And at this time, I was so vulnerable. I was so vulnerable. That's who I was. I was still this little innocent, naive girl, just trusting the world. And so I opened up to him and I said, you know, I'm actually doing photography on the weekends, Monday to Friday, like a side job, but I'm looking for a job from Monday to Friday to help with my father. And on we went. And he says, perfect. He's like, I'm an executive, I'm a lawyer and I'm looking for an executive assistant. And I thought, oh, thank you, God, like this is meant to be. So
Right.
the next day we meet up and he's just explaining to me what he needs from me as a job. But he did mention that he just needed me to take care of his child for a few months before they go back to school. And I thought, okay, great, wonderful. And he says, don't worry, your parents are going to be taken care of. Everything is going to be fine. And I said, okay, thank you.
Wow.
So, yeah.
So just, I mean, here you are an adult now, right?
Yeah.
And you're looking at this person with like, oh, this is so kind. This is so wonderful, right? I'm going to be able to help my family keep their home through this tragic time. And then you think, like, you think about all those children that don't know either and end up wherever they end up in the world. And so it's just like, once again, very blessed that you are here to share your story. Okay,
Absolutely.
Go on.
So yeah, so I was honored to take care of his child.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that I gave her what she needed, and she gave me exactly what I needed as well. And that was an honor and gift within itself.
Mm-hmm.
However, this work relationship turned out to be a romantic relationship. And this man was older, you know, you can say as old as my father.
Right.
And it was very uncomfortable. I will not deny this, but I still followed through because I was surviving.
Yeah.
And I got a lot of looks and a lot of comments in public, and I felt very shameful. I felt like, what am I doing? But they don't know, whatever, it's fine. I'm doing what I got to do.
Yeah.
And in this relationship, there was a lot of manipulation, a lot of narcissism involved. So if I wanted to leave, I would get manipulated by, you know, I'm not going to support you or your family anymore. And money, survival needs are crucial for all of us. Without it, we start panicking. It's who we are. We're animals.
Yeah.
We need to survive. Okay, this is just fact. And so I stayed and I stayed and I stayed. And during my stay with that specific person in my relationship with him was straight torment, sexually, verbally, emotionally, mentally, any way you'd like. It was all control. It was fear-based control manipulation.
Right.
And I had no idea what was happening to me. I just would only think, why am I alive? Why do I exist? Am I only here to suffer? Am I only here to go through all this pain? Am I only here to go through these marriages and relationships that get me nowhere? And the
But it
control
just
got so
shows how strong you are, and you
right.
are here for a purpose,
I
and you
am
are going to be helping other women
1
and
million
men.
percent. And men, everyone,
Yeah,
because
because
it's
this
not,
isn't a woman's issue. This is
no,
this, whether it's in
it's
the
not.
workplace, in the home, in like, yeah, okay.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Everyone needs to hear this. So in the relationship, I got introduced to drugs. And drugs were a big control. That's how I was controlled to be sexually abused. That's how I got to a physical injury. And the physical injury happened in my neck, where I had been strangled and I was fighting for my life. And I actually passed out for minutes, not knowing. And when I woke up, that person that was involved was panicking. He was crying. And he kept repeating, "I thought you were dead." And when I heard those words, I panicked. Like, what are you talking about? And although I was, on drugs, I still felt scared. But the next day was even worse, to know that I wouldn't be alive right now if I didn't come back.
But okay,
And
so do you feel that you were at that moment when you had passed out, basically, whether it's your guides, your angels, God stepped in?
100%,
Yeah.
yes, I
And
was
and that,
saved.
and I mean, I mean, this was an extreme case, but
Mhm.
we're all guided. We're not alone.
Never.
And it's to call on that strength when we don't have the strength in our own self to say, help me, show me the way,
Right, right.
right? And so I think in your story, I believe this was a turning point to say,
This was my
enough.
breakthrough.
Yeah.
This was my breakthrough. This story was my breakthrough to becoming who I am today. And so a month in, I developed neurological symptoms, pain, tingling, numbness, no feeling, burning, all these sensations that many people may experience today, from neurological diseases like MS, right?
Hmm.
And so I was experiencing all of this on my left side, the left side of my face, my neck, my shoulder, down to my arms, tingling in my fingers and my toes. And I wasn't able to walk for a week. I had to be carried around. My throat felt like something was just choking me all day, every day. My ears were ringing and throbbing, just hurting me a lot. And my eyesight was changing, was blurry. I had a lot of brain fog. I wasn't able to be clear. I had cluster headaches. I've never experienced cluster headaches, but they start from the neck
Yeah.
up to your head, and they work their way to
And
your
they're
eyes,
painful.
and they
They're
are painful.
painful.
If just like migraines and like maybe a tad worse, but it is so painful. It would cause me to cry. And so I had no choice but to close my eyes, sit in the dark, and put myself to bed.
Hmm.
So I was going through this investigation for 6 months, and I didn't know what was happening to me. And the
Hmm.
man that I was with at that time had
Hmm.
convinced me that I had MS. So I went and did 2 MRIs and CT scans and so many medical investigation, so many doctors, just all around,
And
and there was no answer.
and here's a note to the listeners.
Yes,
Well, you're able to do that in Canada
100% you
without it
are.
costing thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars.
Yes, that's right.
So here's
Um,
another blessing. Like if you were in a different country or like you might not have had that, availability to uh, to assist in your awakening.
Right. Exactly. 100%. And also where I was guided was to a specific doctor, a doctor that recommended me to a psychologist.
Right.
Yeah. Because of this physical, all of this physical symptoms, and like not knowing why I'm feeling. I'm a young, healthy girl. I run every day. I love to eat healthy food. Why am I in this deathbed? What's going on? And so I go and I go and meet the psychologist. I'm talking to her, and she's getting to know me, and she's helping me out with things, and she's recommending that I meditate, start off with 2 minutes, 5 minutes, and go on, start journaling. And I'm like, I don't know how to journal. I've never journaled before. I don't know how to keep my mind shut and not, I don't know. I can't sit still for 2 minutes. Who do you think I am? And
Little did you know your running was your meditation.
Right. Yeah, that was my way. So she helped me set boundaries. She helped me see the value within myself. She helped me see that I am good enough. I'm amazing. I do so much for everyone. But what am I doing for myself? I'm putting my parents' needs first. I'm putting this man and his child's needs first. I'm putting all these responsibilities that I need to take, and these responsibilities are not for me. These responsibilities are for everyone else but me.
Yeah.
And by the end of the day, I'm beat. Or I have lots of wine to escape. So I would escape a lot with marijuana, with wine, every day. I didn't care. I did not care.
Which is just masking the symptoms, right?
Which is masking the symptoms, but this is what got me by.
Yeah.
Is it the right way? Absolutely not. But was it helping? Yes, it was. It was. Yeah. And so once I started saying no to these requests and orders, and once I started really just kind of doing things that I wanted to do, I was looked at differently, meaning I wasn't as valuable or lovable or accepted from others.
Oh, interesting.
Yes.
So they wanted you to stay the victim so they could have the upper hand. And when you started taking back your control and saying, I'm no longer a victim, I will move through my life for me. And like we said, right? Like it's living life with a full cup and helping with the saucer. Whatever's in the saucer is free to give.
Right. And I do want to mention, at that time, I didn't know about the victim state. And I didn't know that I'm stepping into my power. I just knew that I am putting a boundary, and I'm going to say no. If you're asking me to go make you a sandwich, and I'm doing laundry, then I'm going to say no. You can make your own sandwich, even though it's not me making it. I'm sure that your sandwich will still be so tasty when you make it. Yeah. You can do it. And so that's what I did, because my psychologist taught me how to communicate that. And it was really nice for me, but it was horrific for the others, because they're like, oh, I don't have someone to clean my room. I don't have somebody to give me money. I don't have somebody to listen to my commands and to do the things that I want them to do. And the more I noticed how I was being treated, the more that I wanted to run away. And yeah, so let's get back on track here.
Yeah. So this is crucial, because we've all gone through our victim state. Maybe not to the degree that you have, or maybe to a more degree, which, like, sorry for anyone that had to do this victim very deeply. But it's also in the fact, like, we are all here on a journey, and the people that are in our story are playing their role that we've asked them to play.
100%. And that's so beautiful that you say that, because
Well, but it's also hard to say, because it's like, I didn't ask for you to beat me, or I didn't ask for you to whatever the thing is, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
And it's like when you look back at it, and when you're opening up to this awakening of like, but you did, look at how much you've grown. Look at how much you
Mhm.
go. Because it's either the victimizer, the victim, and the arbitrator, I think. And it's like this, it's the dance of the triangle. We always
Mhm.
are in one or the other. Which one are you
Right.
going to play?
It's a cycle, you know?
Hmm.
It's exactly. It's, are you going to stay in the game, or are you going to get out of the game?
And
So,
so I think about your story too, about like, here you're just young, you're 18. I'm just going to go get married, right?
mhm.
And I'm going to move forward. But as
Yeah.
you move forward,
The more
actually took you
I
lower,
it's pulled me right back down. Yes.
right?
And then
But
in
yeah, but
those
then you
cases,
you look at it now and you're like, the freedom, right? The freedom that, no, I am my own person and I can do this stuff and I don't have to wait on people. And you become liberated. And so I just want to acknowledge the fact, like, so we met by chance.
yeah, we
It
did.
had nothing to do with us. It was absolutely orchestrated from the guides, the God,
It was,
whoever, right?
yeah.
Because because here you were thinking you're going to do this business at a trade show out of your
Right.
city, by the way, right? So you had to
Proud of my
travel
city. Yeah.
down to the trade show,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
I wasn't going to the trade show that day,
Yeah.
but a friend says, "I'll pick you up," and I'm like, "Oh, I guess I'm going to go." And then I'm standing in the trade show going, "Well, you weren't planning on coming. Why are you here?" Because before the trade show, this podcast wasn't going. And I just started meeting people. I'm like, "You have a fantastic story. I want to share it."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and so this whole journey for both of us has been born.
Yeah.
You finally
Absolutely.
realize, like, you know what? I do have a story to share, and I'm going to be able to help people,
Uh-huh.
right? And I
Uh-huh.
realized, well, I don't know anything about podcasting, but I love hearing people's stories. And if I can share them,
Yeah.
I don't know. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes.
Right?
And I absolutely love that, because sharing, through sharing is caring. That's one.
Mhm.
And another is, when we share our experiences, then others will hear it and feel like, oh my goodness, I'm not the only one going through this. And oh my goodness, this person found a solution to this problem that I'm facing. And so there we go. There's my answer. I can practice
Yeah.
this, or I can reach out to them, or I can ask for help now. Like, I am not alone. Nobody is alone. Nobody's
Well, and
alone.
that's the biggest thing I want to to convey through authentic conversations is, regardless if you're next door to me, in the same room as me, or across the world from me,
Mhm.
we are all one and we are all in
Yes,
community together. And if
100%.
and if anything, this last 2.5 years is proving, real community will always come to help each other. The ones that
Mhm.
are falling away, thank you for being in my life for how you were, but the real community. Like, I remember a long time ago, there's either a reason, a season, or a lifetime.
Mhm.
And I truly believe we're in the reason we met.
Mhm. Me too.
And if it ends up to a lifetime, I'm honored. But we're
So
in the
much.
reason. And the reason is your story needed to get out. and and I mean, yes, your experiences have been very deep, very traumatic. And
Mhm.
if anything this talk can help people with, is you don't have to go as deep. Start
Yeah.
looking at the wake up calls. There's red flags all the way along if you want to keep your eyes open. And this is in any situation. This is in a bad boss employee situation. Like,
Yeah.
don't feel you need to stay.
It's in every situation, even the situations you have with yourself. For an example, if you're struggling with something with yourself, for an example, sometimes I struggle with being organized. And I notice that when I get overwhelmed with my list that keeps growing, I escape and I will go do something fun, not something responsible, but something that's just easier, and I learn why. And then I ask myself, what's the lesson here? What is it I need to learn about myself running away from responsibility?
But I don't think you're running. Personally, I don't think you're running. I think the lists are the way that you've been controlled. So this is something that someone told me. I said, oh, my to-do list is 10 pages long. And she said, get little cards. Maximum 3 things.
A
And I
day.
went, and what's that for? And she goes, 3 things. If you're done them in 10 minutes, done. The rest of the day is yours to choose.
Yeah, it's overwhelming when you look at a list so long.
Well, your brain can't compute it.
Yeah.
But think about your story and the way you've gone through. And you have this list. Well, they're demanding, and they have to do this, and I have to do this, and I have this and this and this. And it's like all you want to do is escape. Oh, I'm gonna go running.
Yeah.
Right.
That was my escape. Yeah.
And you even said that earlier in the conversation when you said, like, I just had to get away. I had to go to the retreat to get away. Even the dogs were driving me crazy.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's your form of running. When the list gets too long, you need to run. But then you think about this retreat and you came for healing, and they're trying to control you again. But you take this, drink this, and you're like, no.
I had
I'm
a lot.
standing in my power. No one's going to tell me to do
something I don't want to do.
Well, because you said, no, I've had my breakthrough, right? I'm learning tools to communicate. I'm listening to the little, what does that say? What is my gut saying? Right?
Yes.
And it's all for the highest good. Right? And okay, so I want people to know that your life isn't totally tragic.
No.
Hang on. So I say that in the kindest way, because now you're stable. You're writing a book. You're looking at starting a different business than the business I met you at.
Yeah.
Okay. You're in a loving relationship.
I am.
That's supportive as you grow together. And as you're growing, you're seeing him growing. And it's like,
yes,
this is how it's supposed to be.
Right.
And I'm sorry, I just had this image of this rose just popping out, and it's gonna bloom. Right?
Yeah.
And because the red rose is like the universal language of love. Right? And if anything I can share about you, what I know is your heart is fully out there, even though it's been so bruised.
And speaking of that, this was my lesson. This was my journey. I came in with an open heart, a wounded heart throughout my growing up. And what I had to learn is to come back to my loving heart, was to open my heart for myself, to give and receive love, and to give others this open heart. Because no matter what you've been through, no matter how wounded you've been, no matter what trauma you've been through, your heart is there. Your heart is still there. Your heart and your love did not go anywhere. You just need to unpeel those wounded layers and shed light on them to see where you went wrong, and what you needed to learn from those experiences and mistakes. There are no mistakes. Everything is just perfect the way it was supposed to be. But it didn't need to take me to go get strangled to find out that my injury was from a strangulation and not from a neurological disease like MS.
Right.
And so
And
it
what a
didn't need
blessing.
to. And what a blessing.
Yeah.
I'm a healthy 27-year-old woman, and I am so thankful. I no longer take any prescriptions.
That's awesome.
I deal with my pain during meditation on my own with my breath.
Right.
And I acknowledge and I accept and I love all that I feel. If I feel pain, it just tells me that I need to pay attention to something. And this is my compass of my inner compass is my emotions and my pain. So it's just a direction to where I really need to be heading.
That's so beautiful. That's so beautiful.
And another thing I learned, and I would love to share, is that
absolutely
the man that I went through this such traumatic trauma with, we were in each other's life for a serious reason. He helped me break a pattern, and I know that I have helped him break a pattern. There is cause and effect, and the result of what we do. And there's consequences to everything that we do, no matter how big, no matter how small. And what I understand, and I have so much compassion towards myself and he, from understanding our conditioning. I know that he did not want to be who he was and acting the way he was acting. And I did not want to be the victim to allow somebody to treat me this way. I am worthy. He is worthy. We are all worthy. We just don't see it yet when we are in.
But it's also shows us how much work we all have to do as humanity to release the conditioning. We were conditioned into the roles we play.
Right. And if you really want to go in deep, it all comes down to unmet emotional needs.
Exactly.
Okay. And he helped me see a part of me that I needed to look at. And I know that after speaking up to authority, and after authority handling the past now, I know that in some way or another, it woke something up in him to realize. So we all have trauma, layers and layers and layers of trauma, and people that are in our life are to help us see things, and we are in their life to help them see things. And even if things don't work out, it's okay. That's just the way it was meant to be.
And this doesn't necessarily mean love relationships. This is any relationship.
This is any relationship. Just like you were saying, a work relationship, your neighbor relationship, all relationships.
Or your puppies.
And exactly, your puppies, your cats, everything. And really, it's all the reflection of you, within you. And it's all perception. How
Mhm.
are you going to choose to look at somebody that treated you so bad? How are you going to choose to view somebody? You know, am I going to look at this man like a horrible psychopath that has no mind? No. I look at him now as a individual that has many, many layers to break through, to be free from
Mhm.
who he is. We can be any character that we would like to be,
Right.
but we just need to understand where we are now and what
Well,
we want and what we deserve and what we value the most.
well, and it's like we were talking before we started, um, as like, people go to volunteer. You think you're volunteering for them, but it's never for them. It's never for them, right? Because like I'm like, okay, so I'm gonna go volunteer with horses, not realizing that these autistic children were going to teach me leaps and bounds every time,
Yes.
right? And
Yeah.
it's like you're going along your journey, and it's like I'm leading this horse, and he's just, the saying of spit and vinegar. Like he wants to go, but we keep on butting up against the other horses, right? And
Yeah.
instead of like, having the rider feel uncomfortable by turning, well, I could have just taken a different path. And then all
Mm-hmm.
of a sudden it's like, whoa, everyone's happy,
Mm-hmm.
right? We don't have to do these tight turns that she loses her balance. The horse is happy because he doesn't have to go boop, boop, boop. Like he gets to kind of sprint going along, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like in our everyday life, it's like a door never closes without a window or another door
Right.
ajarring.
Right. Right. Right.
And it's
Just,
and
just,
it's
mhm.
watching for those things that are opening up to say, I
Yeah.
never thought of it there. What? I
Mhm.
can actually go right? I don't have to keep going left,
Yeah. Yeah,
right?
exactly. Right. And that was just like me. So my breakthrough was I I took the right turn, right? And
Yeah.
I know that I was guided with all the power within me. It was so scary. I don't even know how I did it, but I did it, and I'm so proud of what I did,
Mhm.
and I'm so because that was my breakthrough. That was my breakthrough to now looking within me, to
Mhm.
knowing who I am. What do I want? Who am I? Why am I here? What
Mhm.
now? And then all the
And
answers came.
and then when you make the sandwich for your partner or
Yeah,
whoever,
yeah.
they're gonna feel the love in it.
Uh-huh.
And
Uh-huh.
as we're in an analogy of a sandwich, like I remember years ago making a sandwich for this lady. I didn't know her, but she was in my sister's home, and then we were just making sandwiches. I handed her the sandwich, and she started getting emotional. I'm kind of looking around. I'm like, "What's going on?" And she's like, "No one's ever made me a sandwich before."
Hmm.
She's a mother
She's,
of 4 children,
yeah. Okay.
and
And
I said, "Oh my gosh!" And she's like, "Yeah." And we actually left the room because she got really, really emotional. And I said, maybe you gotta start making your sandwiches with love, right? You have
yeah,
to step up for you first before you have
yeah.
anything for those kids. Teach
And that's
them
what
they
we
are
all
the
forget.
most important thing first. We weren't taught it.
Hmm. Yeah, we weren't taught
My
that.
generation, we were told not to be seen, not to be heard, to be quiet if adults were around.
Yeah. You know what came up to my mind this morning? I remembered when my ex-husband and my mom had told me about my dad being diagnosed with cancer. I was they took me to the bedroom upstairs to tell me, and I cried so much, and my dad was downstairs in my living room. And then I remembered my mom saying, don't cry in front of your dad. Just, I don't want, like, I don't want him to see you sad. And I remember going down, trying to hold my tears. Can you
Yeah.
believe that? That's what we were trained to do,
Yeah.
is to not show your emotions,
Yeah.
not be who you truly are,
And
not
it
feel
probably
what
would
you're
have helped your
feeling.
dad if you did cry,
If
because
I
then he could
cried,
have cried.
yeah, and I knew he wanted to cry. He was so like devastated. But what was more devastating was holding my emotions. And so that was something that I got to break free from as well. When I feel sad, I feel sad. When I feel like I need to cry, I go cry.
But
When
on the
I,
opposite, when you feel like you have to jump for joy, you jump for joy. When you have to laugh, you have to laugh.
yes, and I do
Right?
that. When I feel
Yeah.
like, okay, I don't feel like, you know, you know, getting down this list right now. I'm just gonna go walk with my dog, in
Yeah.
this beautiful fall weather.
Yeah.
Like it's just feel what you are in tune with.
Yeah.
What do you want? Stop thinking about the external world. It doesn't even matter. What matters is how you feel.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And that's been a huge lesson for me this last month, as
Mm-hmm.
as the world is up leveling to the higher
Yeah.
consciousness and to the love and the light. I've never been so sick in my life. Never.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not a person who gets sick. Like the last time I had a cold, I think it was in high school, right?
Yeah.
And so I had phoned my coach and I was like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And
So
he was just as sick as I was. And we
yeah.
had people over in France that were just as sick, and over in
Yeah.
Africa just as sick. And I'm like, oh my God, the
Uh-huh.
world is going to kill us. I'm just like, but
I
it was
know.
great, like how you talked about those cluster headaches.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Those were easy to get through compared to this, right? And it's just like
mm,
I kept every day I'd be like, I don't know what this is all about, but I'm trusting. I don't know what this is about, but I'm trusting.
yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
trusting that we're coming through to a higher level, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you just, like as you said, like you were a person who grew up with not a lot of friends.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
weren't
Well,
you glad that you didn't have more people just taking from you?
mm, well, that's the thing. By the time that I like, it went from friends taking to guys taking, because now, because I wasn't getting validated from my girlfriends. I now wanted to be accepted and loved and seen from
Other
the
guys.
boys. Yeah. And giving in too easily. This caused me to develop shame within
Right.
myself. And I didn't respect myself. I just felt like who would want to be with me anymore?
Yeah.
Um, but I didn't understand then that I really just wanted to be loved. I
Yeah.
really wanted to be
You're looking for
accepted.
outside sources for what you get
Exactly.
from.
And most of us do this. And I've been
Oh
I've been
yeah.
doing this my whole life, looking outside, spinning in circles, and getting nowhere but
I
the
know, but
dark.
you got to be, like I said before, right? Stop and pat yourself on the back, because you're learning this, you've learned this, and you're aware of this at 27.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
people in their 80s that haven't even thought that they can do it or
Yeah.
could
And
ask for it. And the fact that you're
exactly.
already saying, and your pivot, like 27 is a pivotal year,
Mm,
because it's the last year of being a child. It's the end,
I'd say so.
right? Well, it is, because 27 is a 9 in
Yeah.
numerology. And when you
Yeah.
turn to 28, you say, okay, I will be in this body and go as an adult to
Mhm.
new beginnings, new learnings, right?
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
like, so when you think about people who transition early, they didn't transition early. They never wanted to be an adult. They were always that childlike person. So, oh, they had a skiing accident. Of course they would have a skiing accident, because they were playing. They never wanted to become an adult,
Hmm.
right? And
And
now you're saying, this stuff is done. No more taking, no more abusing, no more. I am coming into my 28th year as a
Mhm.
full adult of knowing,
Mhm.
following my heart. I'm not looking for outward expressions of what I need
Yes.
because I'm coming to the plate with a full cup. You can have
Right.
everything you want off the saucer.
Right. Exactly. Nobody and nothing will take away from me anymore. No
Yes.
more, not ever, not again. And what I would love to just share are three things.
Okay.
No matter where you are, how old you are, and what you've been through, it's never too late to change. You can start now. The second thing is remember we are all very unique souls with a
Mhm.
unique purpose. Not all of us are on the same journey. Not even two of us are on the same journey, but we are on different journeys, trying to reach the same destination. And in my opinion, that's freedom and love and peace. And once we find that within ourselves, we're able to break out from this illusion that
Mhm.
we call life. And the third thing is that all of our obstacles, all of our issues, whatever you want to call it, they are just teachers for us. They are meant to show
Yes.
us a better way. You are not a victim. These things are not happening to you because you're a bad person or you're not worthy enough or you don't deserve all these beautiful things other people have. Not at all. They are there for you to reach victory, to master all of the lessons that you need to learn. How we process and perceive can change our life like no other. Just believe in yourself and trust yourself. You're on the right track. And if you're listening to this, you are exactly where you need to be.
That is beautiful. And thank you. As we wrap this up, thank you for sharing with me, giving me the honor to share your story. It's been a blessing getting to know you. And if you want to reach Nadine, it's her name. So NADINEELHAJJ9 or you can reach me, Adele, at transitionclarity.com. And once again, thank you, Nadine, for being on the show.
Thank you.